I've been seeing a lot of negative reactions to A Night of the Seven Kingdoms online, with bitter Game of Thrones fans claiming it doesn't take itself seriously enough, it's too comedic, it's too small, and it literally shits on the franchise's legacy. But I think all those things are some of the new spin-off's greatest strengths. I'm not saying it's the best Game of Thrones show, but it's my favourite so far. I've been following the franchise week to week since the very beginning. The beginning of the TV shows, I mean. I haven't read those massive doorstops that George R.R. Martin calls books. But I've been more excited watching new episodes of A Night of the Seven Kingdoms than I've ever been watching new episodes of one of these Westeros shows. It's not a comment on the quality of the shows. At the height of its powers, Game of Thrones was some of the best television ever made. It's just my personal taste. I like this quirky, dark comedy approach much more than the epic Shakespearean soap opera tragedy approach of the other two shows.
Oh, Meg, I can't even drink a pint of ale.
Yeah, because it's disgusting.
Oh, it's not disgusting.
It's disgusting.
A Night of the Seven Kingdoms is basically a Game of Thrones sitcom, and that's what a lot of people hate about it. A lot of people are using the Sitcom label as a dig, but that's precisely what I love about the show. It's a morbid medieval comedy. It's Monty Python and the Holy Grail set in Westeros. It's what I expected Disenchantment to be, the Game of Thrones era medieval fantasy satire down in the muck with the peasants laughing at the royals. There are lots of puppet shows and vaudeville performances sprinkled throughout the show to really hammer home this jovial comedic approach.
Fetch my armour.
Now?
Aye, now.
When the series premiered, there was a lot of chatter online about the early scene in which the epic, sweeping Game of Thrones theme, just as it's getting going, is abruptly cut off by Dunk suffering a bout of diarrhea behind a tree. That's become the defining moment of the show, the moment that A Night of the Seven Kingdoms announced itself as a very different kind of Game of Thrones show. A lighter, funnier Game of Thrones show. But it establishes its overtly comedic tone even earlier than that, with the opening Family Guy-style cutaway gag.
Remember the time I won a date to Mexico with Gary Coleman?
¿Qué pasa, señors? What you talking about, Willis?
As Dunk is offering kind words and fond memories at his late mentor Sir Arlen's graveside, his eulogy is promptly interrupted by a quick montage of Sir Arlen beating Dunk throughout his childhood.
You were a true knight. You never beat me when I didn't deserve it.
It draws a darkly hilarious juxtaposition between Dunk's sanitized, flattering, posthumous portrayal of Sir Arlen and the cruel brute he actually was in life.
What you?
A Night of the Seven Kingdoms might be a half-hour comedy, but it still has plenty of that signature Game of Thrones darkness, because it has a pitch-black sense of humour, with crass scatological gags, immature and profane name-calling, and a general misanthropic cynicism. A Night of the Seven Kingdoms feels like Game of Thrones meets South Park, and it's not the first time the twain have met. A Night of the Seven Kingdoms is refreshingly low stakes and unserious and fun. It feels small and personal. It's not about armies warring over a throne or dragons laying waste to entire nations. It's about this burgeoning friendship between a lowly knight and his even lowlier squire. Even the big set pieces have this slapstick vibe, the tug of war sequence being a perfect example. In Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon, we see Westeros through the eyes of royalty looking down on the common folk. The commoners are just cannon fodder for the monarchs to make a dramatic entrance, like Rhaenys crashing a coronation on Dragonback. But A Night of the Seven Kingdoms flips that on its head. It shows us Westeros through the eyes of a low-born knight looking up at the royals.
Sir Arlen was a great knight. Someone will remember him.
Like any great sitcom, A Night of the Seven Kingdoms is anchored by a great comedic dynamic between two characters. Dunk and Egg are a comic double act for the ages, like Michael Scott and Dwight Schrute, or Dar Jerry and Grandad Joe.
We'll compromise.
I'll compromise you through that window.
They have perfectly matched yin and yang energies. Dunk is a world-weary pessimist, reckoning with how little his life matters and how futile his ambitions might be. But Egg is an eternal optimist who sees the good everywhere he turns. He's naive, but that makes him curious.
What's your name?
Sir Duncan the Tall.
Never heard of him.
Do you know every knight in the Seven Kingdoms, then?
The good ones.
Dunk is supposed to be the wise older mentor, but he's hopeless, and Egg is smarter and more knowledgeable than him. But when it comes to something physical like the tug of war, Dunk's brute strength comes in handy, and Egg is hilariously useless. That physical comedy bit of him dangling off the rope might be my biggest laugh from the series so far. Peter Claffey is a brilliant series lead. He's not the kind of guy who normally headlines his own TV show, especially a big blockbuster franchise show like this one, but he's more than compelling enough to bring you along for the ride. He nails this kind of sane, self-conscious Don Quixote, and Dexter Sol Ansel is the perfect foil as his wry little Sancho Panza. The casting challenge for Dunk and Egg was finding two actors who could not only individually embody these very distinctive, very unique characters, but also shared the right chemistry to sell this strange but endearing friendship. And I think they nailed it. I don't know what these characters are like in the books, but for the version of them adapted into this TV show, these two actors share the exact right chemistry.
Do you think I'll ever make a knight one day?
Sure, why not? You're a likely lad.
I'm a bit puny.
Ansel is a wonderful young actor in his own right. He's got the innate talents of a Macaulay Culkin. You never see the acting, you never see them reciting lines, it's very naturalistic. But he also knows exactly how much to dial it up for a comedic beat, and exactly how bluntly to deliver the punchlines for maximum effect.
You? What are you doing?
I've always thought the size of the actors is an important part of the casting process. Spider-Man is supposed to be an average neighborhood kid, so you can't cast a 7-foot behemoth to play Peter Parker looming over his castmates. Similarly, Darth Vader is supposed to be the mighty ruler of the galaxy, the most powerful Force user who ever lived. So you need big-ass David Prowse looming over Mark Hamill and Carrie Fisher and Alec Guinness. But when you're doing a self-aware parody of Star Wars and you're turning Vader into a puny weakling with an inferiority complex, you cast Rick Moranis and put a giant helmet on his head.
I can't breathe in this thing!
When you're casting an ensemble, especially for a comedy, you need to take into consideration how the actors look together in the frame, because the size difference can add to the comedy. Just look at Everybody Loves Raymond. Patricia Heaton and Doris Roberts are the exact same height, so it draws a visual parallel between them, subconsciously telling us Ray married his mother. Ray Romano and Peter Boyle are about the same height too, so it creates a mirror image when the two couples are in the same room, like Ray and Deborah can see into their own future. Tiny Doris Roberts belittling giant Brad Garrett is inherently hilarious.
Robert was smoking.
I wasn't.
Smell him.
Come here. Come here. Oh my God!
It would still be funny if Doris Roberts was a foot taller and Brad Garrett was a foot shorter, but not as funny. You can see this same dynamic with 5'7" Logan Roy talking down to 6'7" cousin Greg. You can see it with scrappy little Selena Meyer ruthlessly insulting towering Jonah Ryan, or even Jonah and his acid-tongued Uncle Jeff.
I talk to you down here just for a minute. Now listen to me, you walking trisomy. I could get dog shit in a condom like I did in New Hampshire. You are my puppet. I'd let you dance.
The massive size difference between Dunk and Egg enhances the comedy. When Egg is lecturing Dunk on something he should know, the fact that Egg is half his size makes it even funnier.
This is undignified, sir.
Dunk is the opposite of Jaime Lannister or Rhaenyra Targaryen or Jon Snow. He's not an action hero, he's not effortlessly charismatic, and most importantly, he isn't some spoilt royal born into greatness. He's a lowborn with no legacy, no family, nothing to his name. He's the underdog, he's the wannabe, he's Peter Quill.
So he's an idiot.
He seems useless at first glance, but he's got a huge heart and a lot of charm, and he just might have some greatness hidden within him. I much prefer those characters. I much prefer rooting for the self-made nobody coming from nothing than the chosen one destined to do great things. I much prefer rooting for the Rocky Balboas and the Peter Parkers than the Hamlets and the Harry Potters. I'm freakishly tall, like so tall that it stops being attractive and becomes Uncanny Valley. And if you don't believe me, look at this photo of a tailor trying to tie my bow tie at my friend's wedding, and this photo of me with two of my aunties at a different wedding. So as someone who's very tall, and also very awkward, and also kinda stupid, so Duncan the Tall is the most I've ever related to a Game of Thrones character. I related a lot to Tyrion as a wine-swilling insult comic, but Tyrion is much cooler and smarter than me. I loved Jon and Arya and Pedro Pascal and Daenerys, until she went full tilt mass murderer, but I never felt like I could see myself in them. But when I watch A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms every week, it feels like I'm looking in a mirror at my own big bumbling reflection.
Are you Baelor Targaryen?
No.
Then would you move the fuck out of the way?
Yeah.
I don't know if A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms is the best Game of Thrones has ever been, but it's the most I've ever enjoyed it.
Wiener, 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 wiener.
Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you liked the video. Remember to like and subscribe and click on the little bell. And also seize the day and call your mom and be kind to yourself.
Wiener, 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 two wieners alongside yet another wiener party, wiener party, party, wiener wieners nice and soft, non-erect wieners, keep them flopping, flopping wieners.